Hey, Draymond, given the talent and experience that you and Steph have as a duo, what do you think you guys can do both on the court and behind the scenes to help with any transition process this season?
I mean, I think on the court is, just play our game, not get too caught up in trying to make people fit in or, just play our game. And I think everybody else will feed off that. Obviously, adding a piece like D'Angelo to the fold, some things will have to change in order to better suit him. And, we're all understanding of that. And that'll happen. And as far as off the court, I think we got to do a little bit more, last few couple of years, stuff just kind of seamlessly happened because there was so much familiarity. It's not quite that. And I think we also have to do a good job in getting to know these younger guys. It's kind of a new day and age in the NBA, and we haven't quite had to experience that because we've had the experience. And so just kind of getting to know the younger guys and, kind of their way of life, how they go about things, and kind of bringing that all together and making it all work.
Second row, right-hand side, Ann.
Draymond, Ann Killian with the San Francisco Chronicle. How does it feel for you being in this new building, and does it feel like a new chapter? Steve Kerr called it the building a metaphor for this new era, and I'm just wondering how you feel about that, a little bit about what you said. Things had been so seamlessly happening, you knew what to expect. There's a lot of unknowns now, and is that energizing? Is this exciting for you?
I think there's definitely a lot of unknowns, but it is exciting. Stuff has kind of just been status quo for the last few years and just kind of knew what to expect going into it. And it's pretty much just been that. It's a new challenge now, which is as a competitor is very exciting. Like we've been to the mountaintop with the previous group, and we know how that feels. Now, can you do it again? Can we bring this team together and get back there? I think that's the most important thing, and I think that'll be our focus moving forward.
You guys obviously had future speculation, free agency speculation looming over a lot of you last season. How much of that played into your decision to extend this summer to once you extended, pretty much your entire core is locked in for the next 3 to 5 years?
A little bit. I didn't quite myself want to come into this season dealing with all of that stuff. Kind of becomes a headache. So I definitely played a little part in it, and just understanding what was best for myself and my family and for this organization. I think I've said a million times now I want to be here for my entire career. What makes that possible? What makes that even more realistic? I think this did. And so, just really wanting to put it behind me. We got Steph, Clay coming back, myself, the original guys who kind of started this whole thing, adding D'Angelo for 4 years. It was just very exciting. Something that, I just wanted to get behind me and move forward.
Front row, right-hand side, Connor.
Connor Letourneau, San Francisco Chronicle. Draymond, you're obviously a guy who's always kind of enjoyed being the underdog. Now that a lot of people are kind of riding this team off before the season's even started, do you almost relish that? Like, do you kind of like being back in that position in some ways?
I think, it's definitely fun. It's exciting. I don't really pay it as much attention as I used to because I realize how many people don't know what the hell they're talking about when you start talking about basketball. Basketball is kind of the sport that everybody think they know. Like, you hardly ever just see people, like, randomly thinking they know football because there's too much going on. Like, you don't know what the hell going on out there for real. Everybody think they know basketball. And so just kind of figured that out. Like, listen to somebody, most of the time you listen to somebody who don't have a clue. How in the hell am I going to let that motivate me at this point? I really don't. Like, I got my own motivation and things that's going to push me to listen to some people who don't really know what they're talking about at this point. It really don't matter anymore.
Second row, right-hand side, Tim.
Tim Calcom, The Athletic. Draymond, obviously you're so identified with this team's defense. Lost a lot of good defensive players, though, in the offseason. Where do you think this team is defensively, and what do you think? And everyone say, oh, Draymond might have to guard 5 people. Do you sense your responsibility growing even more in that regard?
I definitely won't have to guard 5 people. But, I mean, I think I'll definitely have to step it up. You know, we don't have as good of defenders as we had. I don't think that's any surprise. But at the same time, we just got to find our identity. You know, before our identity was switching. That may not be our identity anymore. We got to figure out, and sure we'll kind of toy with different things throughout the preseason and kind of figure out what works best for this group. But I don't think it'll just be your typical status quo. Somebody's coming off screen and roll switch, you know, or, you know, how we've been playing in the past, because it's not the same team. It's not the same personnel. So we just got to figure out what it is. And once we figure that out, we'll be fine.
Far back left-hand side, Ron.
Hey, Draymond. A lot has been made about the leadership roles that the team needs, and who's going to fill them and how you're going to fill them. But how do you manage that so you don't become overwhelmed by it? And the second part of that is, how does the Spartan get through to the Wolverines on this roster?
Well, man, I mean, you know, just like any other year, I don't think there's just going to be one person who leads this team. You know, I lead in the way that I lead. Steph leads in the way that he leads. It may not seem like it, but Clay leads in the way that he leads. You know, and, you know, that's important, you know, for us to continue doing that. And, I have no doubt in my mind that we will, and we'll be just fine. How many Wolverines on the roster? 2?
Yeah.
I don't really think much about Michigan Wolverines, honestly. So I don't. I'll manage those players as warriors. But, you know, being a Wolverine holds no weight here. It's nothing.
Front row, left-hand side. Janie.
Hi, Draymond. Janie McCauley from AP.
Hey,
Steph was in here. Good to see you.
good to see you too.
Okay. Steph was in here a minute ago and said he'd rather not be called the old guy, but elder statesman is very respectful. Is it pretty amazing that he is the oldest guy on this team? And what do you have to say? What will you call him? And also, would you like to play in the Tokyo Olympics?
He's not old. It's like, he's 31. He's getting old. I think we all getting old, but he's definitely not old. But it's really funny to me just to, you know, see Steph as oldest guy on this team, and then I think it's Clay and myself after that. Not too long ago, we were the youngest guys on the team. And so it's, you know, pretty interesting turn of events. But it's fun. It's exciting. You know, I think when you're putting a team together, that's kind of how you envision it going. You want to start with some younger guys, and you want to grow with them. And as they get older, and you kind of start to bring in a new wave and, you know, start to prep guys to get ready to take the reins. And that's kind of how this is going. I think that's a great sign. That means that there's been a pretty good amount of success if you're still trekking along with those guys. So I think that's great. And as far as the Olympics, I definitely want to play in the Olympics next year. I'm actually kind of planning my wedding around it, so hopefully I make the team. And I'm not cutting out so many dates to not make the team. We'll see. But I do want to play.
Front row, left side, Monty.
Monty Poole, NBC Sports Bay Area. Draymond, you've been accustomed to having Andre and Dot around here because they just part of the fabric. They're gone now, and I'm just wondering, how is the vibe different, or do you already already feel that, or is it just going to take some time to adjust to them guys not being around, and what do they bring?
Well, I haven't really been here, so I don't really got the vibe yet. But what I can tell you is from what I have seen is it's definitely different. Andre and Sean's super old. But they were just kind of that stabilizing force for us. Those guys who we can go to about anything. Like they've been through some everything, whether it was basketball, whether it was injuries, whether it was family, investments. Like they were just those, or whether Steph Clay and I out there running rampant and they just come in and calm us down. Like whatever it was, we could kind of turn to them for anything. We don't really have that anymore. We'll have to be those guys. And so it'll definitely be different. We got a lot of new blood. With new blood in this day and age in the NBA comes a lot of different things. It's the swagger of these younger guys are different. They live their lives completely different than, what we've grown accustomed to. But I think that's fun. You get a chance to know these young guys, mentor them, kind of show them the way. I'm excited about it. But it's definitely different. It's crazy. I went to the Janet Jackson concert like a week ago, whenever it was, and I hit a few of the young guys up, and they was kind of like, Janet Jackson. Yeah, you got that one. It's just like, yo, it's Janet Jackson. Like Janet Jackson, a legend. And that just kind of showed me like I'm getting old. Like none of them wanted to go with me. Like. Mari, I was like, yo, I'm going to the Janet Jackson concert. I got a suite. And I'm like, nah. Like, Eric, nah. It's just like, all right. So that kind of explains it for you right there. It's like they didn't want to see Janet Jackson. I was super excited to see Janet Jackson. I'm sure if it was Gunna, they would have all ran here. If it was Gunna, I would have ran here too, but I also ran here for Janet Jackson, so I guess it's a little different.
Last two questions, third row, right-hand side, Phil.
Hey, Draymond, Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press, Democrat. What's your reaction to the California governor signing a bill that would compensate college athletes for their likenesses being used?
Kudos to him. Governor Newsom, I think he's been doing some great things since he's taken over in office, and this is just another one of those great things that he's done. I think it'll definitely help move the needle. When you start talking the state of California and how much weight this state holds, for this state to be the first to do that, it's very special. And, as a former college athlete, that's exciting. You spend so much time in college broke and with no money, and yet everybody else was living very well. The university's making a ton of money off your likeness. I mean, it is the most, I think he used the word bankrupt model. And it is. It's like, it does not make any sense. I can make all the money off your likeness, and the moment you decide to make some money off your likeness, you can't play here anymore. You're ineligible. You're suspended. It's backwards, and, someone needs to force this dictatorship to change, because that's exactly what it is. It's no different than any country that's ran by dictators. The NCAA is a dictatorship, and so, I think it's great for him. I think it was amazing to see that done on Uninterrupted, and the platform, that's exactly what that platform was built about. I've actually been a part of it since the very beginning, and that's what it was built about giving everyone a platform to change the way the athlete is viewed, to change the way people think about athletes and think about certain legislation and different things governing athletes. That's exactly what Uninterrupted was built on. And, for that to take place on Uninterrupted, I think it just all came back full circle. No college athletes have a voice, really. When you see a commercial promoting a college game, it usually show to like the coaches, and they don't score a point. But unless it's a Zion Williamson, and then it'll highlight Zion. Unless it's like someone like that, like they show the coaches, but they can't go out there and get you a bucket. And so college athletes have no voice. And like I said, that's what Uninterrupted was built about, is giving everyone a voice and giving everyone a platform. And for that to take place on there, I think it was all full circle, and it's a great day for everyone, because I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired of seeing people get ripped off. I'm tired of seeing these college athletes being ripped off. And, you know, the president of the NCAA just kind of sit back and, you know, he say a little bit but don't say much at all because he don't have to. And now you got to speak up. And I'd love to see what his response is going to be to this.
Great.
Outside of, oh, well, you're going to be ineligible. Like, get out of here with that. Nobody worry about that no more, man.